working on a refashion project. I am going to turn this oversized dressy sweatshirt into something that I can fit, something that will be in my size. It is a gorgeous shirt, it's just not my size. And I purchased this from a thrift store here in near the town that I'm living in. So I think it was in Kennewick. So about 25-30 miles from my house. It is a gorgeous fabric. As you can see, it has some metallic fabric woven into the sweater knit fabric. I think it's just gorgeous. So my plans are to remove this neckband. I want to keep the front and I want to keep the front and the back section of the shirt. So the main part of the shirt. I am going to, like I said, remove this neckband, remove the sleeves, put this front section on the fold, and create a new front panel for this particular shirt. And then I am going to also remove the bottom of the sweatshirt as well. I think I'm going to use this for cuffs and also a collar at the top. So I think I'm going to put a collar here on the top of the shirt. And I want to also keep the back of the shirt as well. This is the back of the shirt. As you can see, it has a lot of fabric here. This is a 3X fabric, and like I said, it is just a gorgeous fabric. When I saw this at the thrift store, I just thought this is just a lovely sweater. I paid $1 for this, so I figured, you know, making a shirt out of this for $1, I mean, all I have to do is put in the work and, you know, contribute by putting, you know, thread and, you know, using my thread and things like that. So I think after using thread and putting a few notions on it, I think I will pay less than maybe $4 total for this project. So I need to get to work. Okay, so here are my pieces. Instead of seam ripping everything, I decided to just go ahead and use my shears, my fabric shears, and I just cut off the arms and the front bodice section and the back bodice section because I have so much fabric here that I'm not going to be worried about preserving the seams here. So I just went ahead and cut everything out. So this is my sleeve. I think I'm going to actually gather this here. Go get some water. I think I am actually going to gather the sleeve here because I have so much fabric. I think I'm going to gather this sleeve and sew it in place. I think that would be a nice little detail. I don't know. I'll have to see. We'll see. All right, so I need to continue to get started with this project. All right, so here is my progress so far. I made a front section and I also made a back. So the front and the back bodice are both complete. However, the front bodice is a little longer than the back, so I'm going to need to do some adjustments there. Also, there is a stain here. I didn't realize that. That could be why it's $1. But I'm going to pre-treat and wash that after I complete the project. Right now it is a little bit looser than what I had wanted here. So I'm going to take that in about another inch or so, and then I think it'll sit where I want it to sit on my body. So I'll do that for the right and the left side seams. And for the collar, what I did, I took the band that was originally at the bottom of the shirt and I preserved it, and I'm going to sew this band around the neck. I am first going to create a first I'm going to create a center back for it. So the garment doesn't have a center back here on the back bodice, but I'm going to create a center back seam for the collar, and then I will work from there. And I might even either just have a center back for the collar, or I might do an overlapping method here on the front. So either I'm going to overlap the band, so start at, maybe if I take this off, you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. So I might start the band here, or the collar band. I will start it like in the center of the bodice, and then work my way around, going around the right side of the neck, all the way around the back of the bodice, coming towards the left side, and then overlap that the band, the collar, on this right side here. So I might either do that, do an overlapping method, or I might create a center seam going down the back and just attach the collar that way. I haven't decided yet. I think I might go with the overlapping method because I think that's really cute and that's something that I really like. So that's where I'm at right now with this project, and I'm hoping to get this done today. I'm having a hard time with this collar. It is more difficult than I originally thought that it would be. Mostly I am trying to figure out how I want to lay this collar. I know I want the collar to be oversized, and I also know that I want to put a few buttons going on the side here, but I'm just having a hard time overlapping it the way that I want. I have quite a bit of fabric here, and to be honest, I'm just really scared to make the cut, because once I make the cut, that's it. I won't be able to take that back. So you all know the saying in the sewing community, measure twice, cut once. So I'm trying to think carefully here how I want to cut it and how I want to arrange it so that I can get what I want. I can get the oversized look, and I can also get the buttons on the collar as well. Oh, let me show you the buttons. So I do have a few choices here. These are all shank buttons. I think I purchased these from Joann's, you know, some years ago, which is amazing for this button and this one because they still look beautiful. So I had them for some time now. So I am still thinking and considering and pondering. I think I'm going to go with this one though. I think this would be a really great choice. It's kind of interesting how in my button collection I have several buttons that are just in pairs, just two. So these are the three that I had in my collection that came as a pair. I thought that that was interesting. So yeah, I think I'm going to use these. Let's see how they look on the fabric. Okay, isn't that just darling? So I'm thinking about having one here and then one here, or here and here. They will be equal distance from one another, so that's really cute. Let's see how the others look. So there's that one. That one's pretty, this one's pretty cute as well. I like that one. And then lastly, we have that one. I'm still rooting for the first one. The first or the second. I think this one might be a little bit, just a little bit too sparkly for this, because we have quite a bit of sparkles in the fabric as well. So I want to tone it down just a bit. So maybe the first or the second one. I'm almost done with this refashion. I put the band at the bottom here, and I went ahead and pressed that out. Now, this band, originally I wasn't going to put this band on. I was going to hem the bottom here, but it was short. It came up to my belly button without it. So I decided to go ahead and put the band on because I don't like that look. So all I have to do now is put the sleeves on and put the color on. But I just wanted to document my progress here before I do those things. So here I just use the overlapping method to sew the collar to the front and back bodice of the garment. So basically I just took the right side of the collar and I overlapped it on the left side of the collar in the front. So I did not do a center back seam on this particular collar. As I had discussed previously, that was going to be an option, but I decided to just do the overlapping method. I really love this method. It's more pleasing to me. And also I think that it is more suitable for the buttons, because I do want to put those buttons in the front going down the collar. And I think that it will look just more pleasing in that way, instead of using a center back seam. So I did use a zigzag stitch on this, and I sewed it at 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And because it's a knit fabric, I'm not really going to be serging the ends of it or anything like that. I'm just going to go ahead and use a regular zigzag stitch and call it good and trim it back. So I think I trimmed this back, I think about 1/4 of an inch. And so I don't have a whole lot of bulk on the inside of the collar, which is really good, because you don't want to have a whole lot of bulk on the inside of your collar when you're wearing it. You don't want to have all that extra fabric in there. One of the things that I just want to note here, just when you're working with knit fabrics, especially something that's really stretchy like a sweater knit, like this sweater knit that I'm working with here is just super stretchy. And so you want to just go ahead and take your time. And if you have to put a lot of pins in your project, you can do that. But really, if you take your time and you use a zigzag stitch, you should be just fine. You should be, you know, golden, just as long as you, you know, like I said, take your time. I really have fun with this project, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to do a refashion. I don't really do a lot of refashion projects, and I think I said something in one of my previous videos about that. They tend to take much longer than sewing regular garments, you know, just following a pattern. They tend to take a little longer because you have to rip open the seams and do all of that stuff. But with this project, I decided to just go ahead and cut all of the pieces out. As I showed in the beginning, I just used my fabric shears and just cut everything out. And so that made it really easy. And I just recycled or repurposed a lot of the fabric that was already on this particular garment. So really, you're not going to see like a huge difference. So it's not a refashion project in the sense that I am completely refashioning it and making it into something different. Although it is something different and new, it's not a drastic change. So the only changes really to this particular garment that I have made is the neck, to the neckband. And I really like that addition. I love the collar. I love the sleeves as well. I think the sleeves on the original project, they were a lot bigger and baggier, even for the person that it was made for. So even for a 3 extra large person, the sleeves were still pretty baggy. Also, the bottom of the garment was also pretty baggy and drapey and loose fitting, and you'll see at the end of the video mine is a little bit more slimming and form fitting to my body type. So yeah, I'm just really grateful and looking forward to showing you guys the finished project here. Just stay tuned and you'll see some images at the end of the video. You'll be able to see the garment as I model it, and I'll also put pictures at the end of the video where you can see it on my dress form as well. And yeah, so this has just been one of those refashions that has gone quite quickly for me. I did do this project in less than, I would say, 2 or 3 hours. It's one of the refashions that I've actually had some great success on, and it didn't really take me a whole lot of time to make it. So here I'm just showing you the finished results of you know, after adding the band, what it looks like and what I have to work with here. So after sewing the collar onto the bodice front and back, I just flipped it over and I was trying to figure out how I wanted to position the collar and sew the collar in a permanent position. And I think this was like the hardest part for me because I just didn't have like a clue as to what to do. I've never actually sewn a collar like this on before, and as you can see, I have quite a bit of fabric here and I just did not know what to do. But I was very impressed with how everything aligned. It was just really nice and flat. I gave everything a good press and it just looks so wonderful. But like I said, this was probably the hardest part of the project because I just didn't really like, I had an idea of how I wanted the collar to lay, but you know, trying to put it into practice was proving to be more difficult than I had originally thought, especially before I had sewed everything together. In addition to that, after I sewed the collar to the bodice front and back, my original plan or the original pattern that I made to lay this particular collar on the sweater, it did not turn out how I originally had it. And so it was just like really frustrating and confusing. And so I just decided to stop fiddling with it and kind of just, I just chose a particular style and I went with it. And so after I chose a style, I decided to go ahead and pin everything in place. As you see here, I just pinned, I flipped the collar over and I pinned the collar underneath. So I did kind of like a under collar type thing. and I pinned everything in place. And then after I pinned everything in place, going from the front, going all the way around to the back, and I aligned it with the seam. So I'm pointing to the seam here, and that's where I match the top of the collar to the under the portion of the collar. So I just aligned it with that seam under there, and I hand sewed that down, going all the way around from the front of the collar, going all the way around to the back of the collar. So I hand sewed all of those, the entire band together so that it can stay in one place. And so after I did that, I did also sew on the side seam by the arms as well. And I just made sure that I sewed those down as well so that the collar would not flip and flop in, while I'm wearing it. And then for the inside of the collar, like I stated before, I just trimmed it back, but I didn't do any finishing. Like I didn't use a serger or anything like that on it. I just used a zigzag stitch on it on the inside of it. So I didn't do anything, special in terms of with the finishing, just a regular zigzag stitch. But this here that you see here is the finished look that I am going for. It is a little bit smaller. Like my final finished version of this is after I sewed everything down, the collar is a little bit smaller in the front, and you don't see that under collar at all. And you'll see that here in a moment, but I made sure that everything was, nice and even going around the neck. And so, yeah, so I just really had fun with this project, and I am so looking forward to doing another refashion here pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. Okay, everyone, so that's it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. If you have not done so already, please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking that red button below this video. And until next time, stay creative.